Hey! Welcome.
What is going on?
This is the PM&A Podcast. Had a little technical issues before we were recording and it didn't work so well, but we're back now. Welcome, Fabian. Thanks for coming out and hanging out in my house and filling me with cool stories about jail and dealing with some interesting things. Like, you've had an interesting life, man. I don't think most people can say all the stories that you have and all the background you have, like living the life you've had, you know, going through the prison system, federal, provincial, and like bouncing, and like you got some stories.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise. So we were talking just before the podcast, this one, and you were saying that you were going to get into like, so you were in federal prison, provincial prison. What were you going to say? You were going to say something, or you don't want to get into the numbers or something?
Oh, yeah, like give it like. When you're the provincial system, you have a number, but they still recognize you as your last name.
Yep.
Where when you hit federal, they give you an actual number, then you're just a number.
Yeah.
And like, it's just a random number, and then with a letter. So it could be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then like F.
Yep. And
that's who you're recognized as.
Yeah. Oh man. So, just so everybody knows, this is the number 9 podcast for the PMA. Thanks for listening. If you're listening on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. Fabian's a friend of Ernies. They go way back. They were working together in the Tri-City construction. Fabian has a really interesting life story where he bounced for like, what, how many years?
18 years, I think.
Yeah,
18 years, and you've been kind of in and out of jail since you've been 13, and you've seen and heard some things and been involved in, like... wow, you got some interesting stories. So I guess we were kind of talking before about how the prison system worked and how there was like a culture and a subculture, and how when you show up to jail, you have to fit in and you have to kind of go into fight or flight mode, or either run or you have to fight. Yeah. And like probably the best way to survive in jail is what? What do you think?
Me, I always like if you walk in like your shit don't stink, then...
Bad news.
Bad news.
You want to respect people.
Yeah. Like you want to like always like be you want to treat people with respect as if you were gonna be respect. Like how you would,
Does that work? Yeah. Does that work?
It does work to an extent, but like people are always gonna try to like push you.
Yeah.
And see.
See how far you can go.
Yeah, where your boundaries are, and like feel you out.
Yeah,
right?
And they can smell the bullshit too, right? So they can tell if you're being genuine, if you're, because we were saying like it's whenever you say anything, it's taken more than just by words. Like it's what did he mean by that, and like was it a sign of weakness? Was it just a sign of him being genuine? Like you really have to be aware of your words, right? And like the words like punk, or the words like that guy's a goof.
Yeah,
it's things like that could escalate
that's
quick,
fire.
right?
That's fire.
You don't
calling someone a bird or a loon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh jeez.
Or like, it's like the guards if they want to taunt the range, they'll rattle their keys as the way of saying I have you locked up.
Really?
Yeah.
Like as in like a pushing thing?
Oh yeah.
When we were talking before, I didn't realize that like guards actually are corrupt. Like there's some guards that like legit make money off of being a guard, and then they're part of like running the drugs into the jails.
It's like a little subculture, like.
Oh man, and they completely control it. Like they're like they have all the power.
Yeah.
But like you were saying before, you were talking about like in the Kingston Penitentiary, these 2 guards were messing with this one guy, and then he just lost it and killed him.
Now he's in there for the rest of his life.
Oh,
he'll never see daylight, and of course because he killed guards, they don't know the circumstances behind it. All they know is that you killed one of us.
Yeah. Yeah, they never said that. I went to the Kingston Penitentiary. They said one guy was killed. He was going out to go and get some letters or something, and then someone placed a gun in his car or the truck or something. The truck came back into the jail, and the 2 guys knew that gun was going to get placed, and they shot the guy. That was one of the stories, but they never said anything about 2 guards getting killed.
One thing I did get to see in my life was like a man actually, like I'm not gonna say who, but I actually saw a guy actually have what they call a zip gun, which is is made of a single bullet a tube, some tape, and a way just to
like a charger.
Yeah, a charger hit the
like
bottom.
A striking, like a
yeah,
striker.
to hit the bottom of the bullet to
No
shoot the round.
way.
Yeah.
How
Someone got shot with it.
Sorry.
You say you saw someone get shot with it.
No, made one.
Oh, what?
How far back would you have to swing that thing to set off a bullet, though?
Not hard at all.
Really?
Yeah, like
Because it's got to hit it hard to get that pop,
no,
right?
I can sit here with a 12 gauge round and tap it on a piece of steel, and all it takes is like the right amount of pressure, and it's going off.
What?
Like back when I was younger, I used to sit there with 22s on the side of a curb with a hammer. And it's like,
I was just about to say that because I have seen it where they use that to start fires and stuff like that too, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
the way we start fires inside, like if you didn't have a big lighter hooped in, hooping is when they, you know.
Yeah.
What's that movie?
When you up your.
That's called hooping when you put it up your butt.
Yeah. And so what we did was we'd get Kleenex and 2 paper clips.
Right, I did see this.
And then put it at the end of a pencil.
Yep.
And then put the paper or toilet paper at the end, and then stick it into a wall socket and hope you don't blow the breaker.
Is that the pet?
Why would you want to start a fire?
Like light a cigarette.
Oh, I see.
Or just like cause chaos.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That gun though, is that the craziest thing you've seen made?
Yeah, that's the craziest thing I've seen made.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we were also talking about you were getting like it's so crazy like to think like you're in jail, you could get dope in jail.
Yeah.
You can get alcohol in jail.
Yeah.
And then people do prison tattoos in jail.
Yeah.
But it's like probably not like the clean. You were saying
it's like the old school, probably sticking.
Yeah, the stick and poke.
That is from prison.
Yeah, 3-volt motor, and was it like a beating needle from the Indian native group, whatever, and then they just hook up a 3-volt motor with a little like a little power source, and then they use Indian ink from the hobby crafts, whatever, and just boom, you're off to the races.
And you're not worried, and you never got infected or anything?
No, like the only thing you had to worry about was people reusing ink.
Right.
Cause,
or needles.
Yeah, because hepatitis C like runs rapid, right?
Yeah.
And it's like it actually can stay alive in the actual ink, and it becomes more alive once it becomes warm.
I see.
Like I used to give the bleach kits and the bleach kits for needle users inside. Right. So I used to hand that out a lot, and like you find out all kinds of stuff that's going around and who did what, and yeah,
man. And we were also talking about in prison culture, like so they move prisoners around a lot because the system doesn't want other inmates to know what they were in for, if they were like involved in like hitting kids or beating women and stuff. Like that's the worst of the worst, and so they move them around so they could go to a new jail. Nobody knows that they're that bad.
Brand new
so
identity.
They could survive.
Yeah. Brand new identity.
Yeah, because like if you go to like back to their like hometown, they're gonna be like 6 o'clock news.
Yeah.
Like this guy got caught like molesting children or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they just boom, they disappeared.
Move you out of the province so they're okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, not even in the province. Like sometimes they'll just move them to the other side of the like let's say they're in the south end of like Ontario. They'll move up to the north end.
Oh,
so
I see.
They're always being moved and lost, right?
So there would be no way for you to know, like, if somebody were to be brought into your, what was it called again? That
the range.
The range. When they were brought into your range, there would be no way of knowing what the guy next to you, unless he told you, and even then you're going off of his word. There'd be no way of knowing what the guy either above you or below you did to get into jail.
Pretty much. Like sometimes if you do bad enough crime, though, the guards will just tell you. They're like, "Yo, that guy's in here for this."
And the guards.
But then how do you know that even they're being truthful to that though?
That's the thing though.
Right, because they could just say that that's a child diddler, and just to cause chaos, right?
Yeah, but that comes down to like whether or not you have all your paperwork. Like that's another thing that people would ask for. Like, oh, do you have your paperwork?
You can legit ask another inmate to see his paperwork.
Sometimes it would just be a straight up beef. It's like calling someone a goof, right? It's like sometimes you'll end up in a fist fight because you're like, yo, what's your fucking beef? Like you're not supposed to ask, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's so much politics that goes into every little aspect of like how you word everything.
Wow. Jeez.
That's just it. Like you had to be so careful about what you said, and oh man.
But you didn't want to say too little, too, right?
Yeah.
You want to be too quiet, but then you were.
If you're too quiet, then they think that you're either hiding something or you're weak.
Mm.
Was it pretty easy to define who was in what group? Now I'm not talking about ethnicity or like skin color. Like, was it pretty easy when you got into prison to go, okay, these are the groups I need to avoid, the people I need to avoid, and it was easy to pick out who was with what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like it's just like in the provincial system, like they'll have like a what they call the heavy table, where all the bad, like they consider the worst are at the table, right? Then they have the smaller guys and the smaller guys, and like then the loons and like, you know, they call it the lower life forms will sit on the floor. Like they'll be told don't sit at our fucking table.
Mm.
Was it seen as a status symbol when they came in for what they did? Like, was it just kind of like would they use that to kind of like, oh, that's that guy's important because of what he did, kind of thing? Like,
no, it was more like okay, this guy's looking at, like, this guy fucked up big, so like this guy's doing a lot of time, just leave him be.
Mm. He's got a lot to do.
Yeah, he has a lot to deal with now, so just leave him be.
Yeah.
And like, then in some cases it's just like, well, this guy's just a fucking piece of shit, and you know, so it's like you have like both like ups and downs, like both sides.
Yeah. Wow, man.
But for yourself, you were saying it was pretty easy to just kind of stay on the path that you were worried about, and nobody really bugged you too much. Like you said, you did have a couple incidents.
Yeah, like if people step up to you, like, you have to. You have to deal with it. Like, like I remember one time, this guy's like, "Yo, I want your what was it? Oh, I think it was like a sugar bun or something like that." I was like, "No." And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Well, fuck you." Like, it was like
go time.
Go time. Like, it's like, I'm like, "You want it?" So I just slapped him in the face with it, because it's like, because like when the other people see that you don't put up with shit, if that person continues on, sometimes you'll actually have someone that like has respect for like just doing your own time, that they'll like actually intervene.
Really?
Like
seriously, that is just like, leave this guy alone. He's doing nothing to anybody else.
Yeah,
really?
I've seen all all different levels.
Where it was like a group that is known for, if you step to us, we're gonna kick in. But if you're picking on someone that clearly is just there to do their time and doing nothing, they'll stick in and almost stick back without expecting you to give them your sticky bun or anything like that, with expecting nothing in return.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of like just honor just, among thieves, I guess you could say. Yeah.
Yeah, honor among.
There's a little human decency, with they realize that you're not like.
Wow, man.
Like I look at today's world, and I'm like, sometimes I think there's like more humanity inside of prison than fucking outside.
Yeah. Well, there's more rules.
Yeah.
And you have, like you said, you have to watch what you do, how you do it, what you say, who you say it to, how you, like, there's all, like, out in the world, you can be a goof. You could call someone a goof. Like, if you said, "What's up, you goof?" I'd be like, "Oh, hi."
Yeah.
Like, you know,
it doesn't mean nothing.
Yeah.
But
like, in there.
But inside there, it means like you're a goof, like you're a pedophile, rapist, fucking.
Oh my gosh.
Like you're like the slug of society. Like,
whoa.
Like, go kill yourself. That's.
Oh man.
Yeah. Jeez. So it's like, as soon as you drop that word, it's like go time.
So if people came into jail and they had no idea, they were just completely green. Like what you call somebody like that? Like what?
A new fish.
A new fish.
Yeah.
And they don't even know what to say or what not to say.
Yeah, I actually saw a guy once whistle, like start whistling on the range, and that went down fast. Like, it was like, the guy's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like,
you're not supposed to whistle?
No, because that's a sign of freedom.
Oh.
That's why you see people, like, that's why, like, now I guess you would call them millennials.
Millennials, yeah.
Get like, they don't even know what the tattoos mean, right? Like, spider webs, like the doves were meant like as freedom doves, like that. That was like a jail thing.
I remember you gave me shit about my crown.
Yeah.
The Latin Kings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, what was the spider web?
Oh, that's like a old traditional biker thing.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember all the.
Isn't it a Navy one? I did some research in it because I was looking at them.
Boat. Those are ships.
No, it was. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was an old Navy tattoo because when they had their elbows and their arms on the what's it called?
Mast?
Along the railing of the ship, because of how long they were there, when they would have their arms leaning on the thing with their elbows, that it would grow spider webs because of how long they were there. That's what I thought it was an old Navy tattoo.
No. That time and like how much time they spent on the water is on their chest. They would put sailing ships.
I'm gonna look this up because I swear to you, it's a Navy tattoo.
I can't remember the exact things. It's like teardrops that you've killed people, like hollow ones.
What is
something else.
Yeah, so what's the one? There's a difference, right? There's the one on the outside is if you've killed, and inside if you've lost someone, right?
I can't remember. Like it's like I don't really even pay attention to that because it's like everyone in the sun like tries to be hard or like they try to do whatever, right? So I don't even look at that anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
because everybody has tattoos now.
Yeah, like you don't even pay attention to that stuff. But back in the day, that used to be like a actual status thing.
Yeah. So you did how many years? Where? Like, what was the longest that you did?
That was 3 years. Like L5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where was that?
That was Millhaven.
Millhaven.
And then I got sent to a high medium Workworth.
Now you were showing us that you had about 9 or 10 prison tattoos.
Yep.
Did you have them before you went into Millhaven, or did you get them when you were in there?
I got them when I was inside.
In there?
Yeah.
Wow.
In Millhaven?
No, well, some in Millhaven, some in Workworth.
Some other ones.
Yeah.
So did they? I've seen it. Did they try and document some of your tattoos that they had, just to see if any of them were related to like gangs or anything like that?
No, they actually, it was funny because like when one of the guards actually noticed a fresh one.
Oh no!
I got fined while I was inside.
Yeah.
And I got like hold time or something like that. I can't remember. Like it was pathetic, and it was like this like petty little fine too that they took money out of my canteen as well for self mutilation.
What? Seriously?
Yeah.
So you can get in trouble for getting tattoos.
If you get caught masturbating, it's self-mutilation.
What?
Yeah. Getting yourself off is self-mutilation. If you get caught by a female guard, that's
I'd be broke.
Decency.
Yeah, and a bunch of other bullshit.
Hey,
wow.
I'd be broke. There goes my commissary.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, there's like so, and then you were saying you've been bouncing, and you were telling us a story how you first started bouncing. You had that ID, the federal ID that shows that you got out of the pen, that you were in jail, and then you saved that one guy from getting beaten up, and then he's like, "Hey, do you want a job?" So we didn't get into that, but like, so that's how you got into bouncing?
Pretty much, yeah.
And that guy,
and the guy, like, then I started meeting police officers and stuff, and then young guys are in police foundations are looking for jobs and stuff like that. Like the police force doesn't look at bouncing as being a real job, but like they have to support themselves. They have to go through school, so like good on them. They want
experience,
and like it doesn't matter. Like most of it's fighting, but
yeah. So would you be considered a bouncer or crowd control? Like if you want to get technical, because you're not a licensed. No, because he's not a licensed security guard.
Well, I'm like kind of like a greeter / like crowd control.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you don't do it anymore though.
No.
But with how long you've been doing it for, and with how many people that you've done it with, and for all the events that you've done. Oh man, the stories you were telling me when I was sitting in the rock truck with you about all the events that you've done and like seeing all the different groups. Like you got to see like Mad Child, and you got to see like and you were saying that the Battle Axe Warriors, like that stuff was always just a pain in the butt.
What the heck was that? He's part of the D12.
Which one?
Oh, I mean the rap group.
Yeah. Now part of D12. You're not talking about Eminem. Are you talking about the part of the guy from D12?
Yeah, I can't remember his name now. That was the most recent event that I worked at.
Where was that?
At District Nightclub in Guelph.
Is that usually where you stick to? Is just Guelph?
Yeah, pretty much just Guelph. I've done a few places here in Kitchener.
Like big events kind of thing.
Yeah.
Have you ever done any Toronto?
I worked a few jobs, but it's like I just got sick of it.
Yeah. What's the coolest band like that you've done?
The coolest?
Yeah. That you were just like, man, that was awesome. Like you were just kind of you found yourself almost watching the concert more than you were doing your crowd control. I
don't know. There's been so many. It's like I think it was like it was Molson. Was it Molson X? Like they had like 5 different bands.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It was it like Bush was there? Like these are all old. Those
Yeah,
all
I know
old bands,
Bush.
right?
Yeah.
Like, but like, yeah, like I partied with some like.
I was gonna say, who'd you party with?
I've partied like, the BFGs. Have you ever heard of that? It's a punk band out of Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
Spider, ex-manager of the Sex Pistols.
Yeah.
I partied with him.
Wow.
I've hung out with The Cure.
What?
Dayglow Abortions I've hung out with. That's like another punk band.
You've seen like the Bats and that. Jeremy's a huge fan of the Cancer Bats.
Yeah.
Like Liam.
Oh, Cancer Bats. Yeah, I've hung out with them. Got
Yeah,
drunk with
I know
them.
those guys. Yeah.
Who else? I couldn't even keep
Wow,
track.
man, you got so many stories.
Like right now, like there's a Robbie G concert going on right now at District.
You're gonna go as we're going after this?
I'll probably just stop in.
Yeah. Wow.
Now you won't be working tonight though, right?
No.
But you don't work anymore. You don't do
no,
that.
I just go down, hang out.
Yep.
Sometimes I'll step in if I see like you know, natural instinct, right?
Yep.
You see someone like trying to overpower somebody, it's like, no.
Yeah.
We're all here to have a good time.
But you have a lot of experience. So would you say that going to jail kind of gave you a perspective on like watching people and seeing different things and like seeing, okay, something's about to happen. You can kind of like a second, like a third, fourth, fifth sense kind of thing. Like,
oh yeah.
How
like
bad?
you'll see stuff like just by eye contact and everything. You'll see someone just be like,
yeah, just
like,
by
go
looking.
Like, this go like that, like they'll go like that to another person, like, or like just go, boom, like you know something's gonna happen, right? Or like you'll see someone that's like, you know, bad shoulders or like just small things, right? Or like,
yeah. So you can read people then really well.
Oh yeah.
Just in general, like meeting somebody new, you're like, I don't like this person right away, or you're like, oh, this person's okay.
Yeah, I've picked that up pretty good.
Yeah.
Like,
wow.
When you first started doing it, would you say that you were pretty physical about how you would handle?
You're
like,
talking about
handle
bouncing,
things?
Ernie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I was like pretty much like, there's only 2 ways you're leaving.
Yeah.
Either on your feet.
Yeah.
Or on your face.
And then like eventually like you would get the picture that, you know, man, like it was you'd come in contact with somebody like you were saying earlier, like it was like, come on, man, like you need to knock this off, cream puff, and then all of a sudden cream puffs turns out to be beefcake, and it's like, Jesus, what did I get myself into?
But then I've also realized where like people I'm throwing out that are like causing shit are actually just going through stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I've actually sat there and talked, like my girlfriend actually stopped a guy from jumping off and doing a swan dive off the 3rd story floor.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she just caught it, just like just all the like, it was like, oh my god, and like he was like in a full sprint.
It's true though, like you don't see conversation much anymore. That's why like I really enjoyed podcasts, and I was actually we were having this conversation. I'm gonna get you into them because it's just interesting. I think you'd really like it because there's a lot of different things. Like people talk about drugs, they talk about like gang violence. It's not all just like logistics and mathematics, right? Like, and some people handle poisonous snakes. Some people do interesting things.
You got quite a snake background too.
I know.
Yeah, man. Handling, bringing snakes in from various beautiful places.
Yeah.
And yeah, wow, man. And you were saying though the most dangerous snake that you've handled that you were with, what was it again?
Rhinoceros viper.
Rhinoceros viper. And you're like, you were figuring him out. See, that's another thing. Even like you saying that, like you were able to look at a snake and be like, okay, he's pissed, or like I'll handle you for a little bit. And if it went south, you needed to be like medevaced instantly.
Yeah,
like
if
you're
I
done.
got bit, I've been probably dead.
And you're like cool with just handling a snake.
Yeah.
That just shows your personality and like what you've been through. Like, yeah, I'll just handle some really poisonous snakes. It's cool. This is cool. I'm cool with this. Wow,
Was
man.
that when when were you doing the handling snakes during In and Out, when you were going in and out?
No, like that's the like the longest story of my life. So like I came from a really like a abusive family.
Mm-hmm.
Like my mom was a saint. Like I probably wouldn't have turned out as good as I did if I didn't have her. Like it was growing up with 2 iron fists. Like my mom and my dad. My mom was tough. My dad, he went through a lot of stuff with mental health, and just his own issues. So he never knew, and he never really had a father either himself or a family. And he had a terrible upbringing too. So like, I forget what I was even going with this. So my parents were really like awesome, but like my dad started going south because like he just didn't know how to deal with like his feelings, emotions, etc. So he'd take it out on us. Like I remember when I was like, I say about like 7, and he like turned around, like me and my sister were fighting, just like sibling stuff. Slapped all of us across the legs, just like rapidly and really hard, and then threw us out of the car in the middle of nowhere. Just told us get out of the freaking car, and just left.
Whoa!
And came back like a couple hours later.
Was like smarten up.
Kind of. It was like just really tough love, right?
Yeah.
Like
So he was dealing with things emotionally and didn't really know how to like vent that out properly.
Yeah. So like then like of course like I'm young, so I start taking my life out on everyone.
Sure. Do you know like was his upbringing pretty rough too though?
Yeah, like his father, mother, and sister lived in a house which would be considered a tool shed of a house like today, because they were like first generation immigrants that came over to Canada. They worked tobacco fields.
Where'd they come from?
Like I like to call it like it's like Germany and like kind of I can't remember the other countries beside it. So they're like considered like gypsies pretty much because they're like mutts.
Okay.
Like they have like German. They have a bit of Jewish in them, and I can't remember. Like I did that whole ancestry.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you do it? Yeah.
Yeah. So like it was like just a mix.
Wow,
man.
So you so sorry. When did you start with the snakes? Did you say?
Oh yeah, that's where I was going with that. So like my dad used to have his flip outs, and I would like leave. So I would use behind my house because I grew up in like Ontario housing. So where my house was, if I hopped my fence, it was all vacant field that led to the 401. So I just go back there, and because it's a vacant field, what do people do? They drive out to fields, dump their garbage, and leave. So there'd be like sheets of cardboard out there and like pieces of wood. So like I'd be sitting there and I'd like just like, oh, I see a snake. That I could hear snakes. Like I got to the point where I could like tone out like a lot of shit and actually like hear like the rustling of the grass and knowing like my surroundings more. And eventually like I was like, oh, I can find snakes by lifting up these boards.
Yeah.
And there'll be like piles like of garter snakes or like in like little balls like with like babies and a mother.
Yeah. What area was this? Sorry.
Oshawa.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't get like a Mississauga rattler or something?
No.
Area, right?
Like I've handled those before too.
those are like child's play compared to what like you, like king cobras and like a coral, that beautiful coral snake you had.
I know.
Oh, and that python. Dear God in heaven, that thing could reach from here to Guelph. That thing was huge. How long was that python?
Which one?
The most recent one you had.
Yeah, oh, I've had lots. I've had ticks. I think I think the one I showed you was my scrub python, and that thing was like I don't know, like maybe 16, 17 feet long.
Wow.
How long did you have? Like, how many stints? Like, what was the longest that you kept them usually?
Oh, I keep them right to like when they die.
Oh, till they die. Yeah.
Oh man.
Not the rare ones though, right? Like the ones that you would get from like say West Africa or something like that. You'd bring that back and then you'd get rid of it quick, right?
Yeah, sometimes I'd get rid of it quick, or like sometimes like bringing them from foreign countries, they'll have like parasites that live in them.
Yeah.
And some of that stuff like you can't stop, and they just like die, or some will make it. I had was it a white-lipped viper? That thing was terrifying. It had something, I think it was like some kind of worm or maggot living in it.
Yeah. And
so one day I was like, he's moving, but he's not. He just, I don't know. So I poked at him.
Yeah.
Poked at him, And then like he had this like it looked like a cancerous growth, and then he just like was like decaying. I could see he's decaying, so I just picked him up.
Yeah.
And like they split open, and it was like this weird like almost looked like some kind of like tapeworm.
You're bringing Ebola to Canada.
I was like, yeah, literally bringing like. So I set the whole thing on fire in my backyard.
Good man. Yeah, I remember you told me about that. Yeah.
That was like the most terrifying experience I ever had with like. I'm like, oh my god, this thing's so foreign. I don't know what the fuck's going on.
So are you
smokes.
paying for these as soon as they're coming off of wherever they're coming from? Like you meet them wherever, you grab the whatever it is, you pay the set amount, and then it's just kind of if it lives, if it doesn't, half at it.
Yeah.
Like, what was the most you've ever paid for one?
About $1,000.
About $1,000.
Yeah.
And how much did you sell that one for?
About 3.
What was that one?
That was King Cobra.
King Cobra. Jeez. Beautiful snake.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Some of these snakes I wish I never even parted with, because like the market's still there today, but it's gone so underground that like no one will even sell to anybody.
Wow.
Like no one will talk about it. Like they'll say, oh, I have this, but like they hide it all where it's like they won't have nothing to do with you.
I gotta show you the picture of this coral snake.
So I got a question. So
beautiful.
if you have like a giant, you said it had a python.
Yeah.
Where do you keep that thing if it's so big?
In a giant cage. I had my anaconda. I had lived in a room about this size.
And this room's probably 9 feet, 5 feet. Yeah. So this is like a decent sized bedroom.
Yeah.
You just keep it in this room.
Yeah, and I had like old like a whirlpool jet tub thing for its water.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah.
What would you feed that?
Like fetal pigs.
What?
Like pigs.
Little baby pigs.
Little baby pigs.
That are already dead.
Yeah.
No, that's not it. I'm gonna get on Facebook. But what is that one?
Oh, that one's a boa.
That's just a boa.
Yeah. That's a.
So.
It's a beautiful snake.
Do you have a private Instagram?
I think so.
Okay, I was just gonna say we can tell people to go to your Instagram and check out your snakes, but if it's private,
I'll have a lot on my Instagram. I don't think. I just like a few nature pics. I think.
You got a couple. You got a couple spiders in your.
Oh, that's my tarantula, my black widow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back to the fetal pig thing. Where would you buy that?
Farmers.
Just farmers just say I have a snake.
Like, you breed pigs. Like I know that like if you have a what's it called, stillborn, or whatever, or like I'll buy them.
Oh yeah.
What is that? A coral?
No, that's a broadband copperhead. It's a hemotoxin.
Wow. So how often would you have to feed a snake like that?
Well, once a week.
1 pig a week.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Like I was paying upwards around like a couple $100 for like feed. And I'm buying it like at like low prices where like if you go to a pet store you're paying out the ass for everything.
Yeah.
Like if you go to a pet store buy jumbo rat it's like $10. Oh. But if you know the right people it's gonna cost you like $2.
I see what you're saying.
And if you buy in bulk then you're like
Yeah.
That's what you're paying.
You just freeze them.
Yeah.
Did you seriously have a bloody alligator?
Yeah, I had 2 of them.
What did you do with it? How did you? What? In the cold, like Canada, you have an alligator just hanging out.
Well, in my basement, I had them.
What? Like, did you have water down there for it?
Yeah.
What?
What was that one? That's the one I'm talking about. That was a beautiful.
Oh, that's the corn snake.
Is it just a corn?
That one's a corn snake.
But look, it's just pure white, like a beautiful. Look, it's
beautiful. What you have? How do you keep an alligator?
You feed it. You keep it warm.
See?
Put it in water.
Oh, they're little things.
That's when it was babies.
Yeah. No,
how big did it get?
The one was like almost 7 feet, and the other one was like a monocle, optical caiman or monocle caiman. That was like 4.
What do you do when it gets 7 foot? And you got a 7-foot alligator in your basement.
I was just getting hooked up with my buddy. Like he had a chicken farm.
Yeah.
So I just get like chickens that were no good.
Yeah, but what happened to the alligator now?
I'm not liberty to say that.
All right. Okay. That is hilarious. I don't know. That's
Let's
crazy.
just say I have nothing at my house.
All right.
I live in the suburbs.
Right. Wow. Yeah.
That's crazy, eh?
That's...
Oh, that's when I was a baby, and I fed it a live mouse, and it did its death roll, like in the water.
Seriously?
Like,
no way.
It was like the cutest little thing ever. You hear like the little chirping of the mouse, and then it just locks onto it. It just starts throwing itself around.
Was that probably the coolest thing you've ever owned? Other than that king cobra, because that'd be hard to top.
The coolest one I ever seen eat was my Argentinian tegu. And
a tegu?
It's a giant land lizard.
What?
Say it again. An Argentinian
tegu. And I gave it a jumbo rat, which is like almost half the size of his body. He locks onto it like a pit bull and just starts shaking it.
Is this thing alive?
Yeah.
The rat?
Yeah. I actually donated him later.
Dude, that's a fucking Komodo dragon.
That's not Komodo dragon. But I donated to Lil Ray's up in...
I've seen those. Yeah.
Was it Lil Ray's up in Ottawa?
Okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I donated it because, for eating, I was a very aggressive eater, but, to handle him, I could take him for walks.
No way.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like a fucking small, alligator.
Way.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh, dude.
Yeah. I take it for walks and all that, and just...
So... Such an extreme lifestyle, extreme pets. Your life just seems to me like you got wow, it's you're always it's so exciting. Everything's you're always it's almost dangerous. You got all this cool, think about it. You know what I mean?
I live different lives than most people.
Yeah,
I do.
Just a different perspective on just living day to day and having cool pets and having a job where you're interacting with people and in crisis situations, and you've lived through going to jail and man, wow. Not a lot of people can say they've had an interesting life the way that you've said. Do you see things from a different veil? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's been definitely a different ride.
You've done a lot in what you've done now in the short life, because you're not that old.
I'm only 40.
Right? You're still a young pup.
Yeah. But one old guy said you're years older than you are days young. That's what an old guy told me once.
You're years older. Wow.
But it's yeah, man, and like I say, I couldn't ask for a nicer dude to hang out with, because I still talk to you. Don't even work for the company anymore, and you're
I send you inappropriate stuff every time.
And some of it I got a straight delete just in case.
Yeah. The daughter grabs the phone.
Yeah. In case the missus is like, "Who's that?" It's Fabian again. Oh, okay. But
wow, man.
Yeah, man. No, I was really happy when I asked you to do this and come talk to us. Because I know you're such a fucking interesting guy, and the stories you have are just so bloody good.
I know you got to get going. But we'd like to have you back on, talk more about this more in depth. We did a little bit of talking before, but I know you gotta go, unfortunately. But we'd love to have you back on. Is it cool to hang out for a little bit longer? You gotta bail out.
I can hang out a little bit longer.
All right, cool, sweet.
It's the same thing every weekend.
Yeah. So we got some time. I would really like to hear. Now, I know you said that when you were in prison, you were just kind of stayed off yourself, but let's be honest, it wasn't always easy, right? No. There had to be times where it's oh fuck, fight or flight. God. Yeah.
Oh, there's some guys that you just look at and go, I'm gonna die today.
And is that when you were saying these guys would intervene? It's man, leave him the fuck alone. He's not causing any.
Yeah, I had some intervenes. I even had there's called the Lifers group. So my first time, actually being in the federal system, I got this beautiful whiff of perfume, and I was like, just that fragrance, right? And I hadn't smelled it so long because I was in the provincial system, and when you're in provincial system, they ask you to sign your 15-day waiver. Well, when you're you sign that 15-day waiver, you're not guaranteed to leave on that 15-day. So I sat there with a bunch of dudes. So as soon as I smelled perfume, I was like, oh, wow, what's this? So I turned my head instantly. And that's my first time actually seeing a drag queen.
You told me about this.
What?
Yeah. And so like I walk up and I was like, I looked at it. I was like, my first reaction was like I started laughing because I was just like that just my luck, right? Like I thought it was a woman from the outside, and I was just like,
it's a dude.
Yeah, it's a dude.
Does a dude have boobs?
No.
Oh, just dresses like
Yeah.
Long hair and everything.
Yeah. So like from the back, yeah. I was just like, oh man. And so yeah, his I guess boyfriend, I call him or whatever, was there, and he was in there for guaranteed life, 25, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so like I actually had another lifer, like because I started like he started yelling at me like,
stop laughing.
Because I was being disrespectful because inside it's a totally different lifestyle. And so I was actually just sitting there going like I was like, what are you gonna do, old man? Right? Like, but what I didn't know was like he's already been in it for like 18 years, and it's like I just like trampled on what he calls his norm life, right?
Yeah.
Because I look back at it now and go, fuck.
Because you said, like, I remember you told me about this at work, and you said, like, once you sat down and talked with them, you said you couldn't ask for a more interesting and nice person.
Yeah, well, her name was Heather.
Yeah.
And like we used to actually hang out, smoke darts, and drink coffee, like just like kind of like if like you're like a dude, like nothing ever happened with it, but like it was just.
Did they go in together,
No, separate cells.
Separate. No. When their story, like you said that Heather had a boyfriend in jail. Did they come into prison together? Like was Heather always Heather, or did Heather turn into Heather when she came to prison? Do you know what I mean?
I never actually found that out. Like I don't know. Like her, like it is still ingrained into you to call that a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'll respect you do still, right? And how like.
That's what I mean. I don't care what you can call yourself, a fucking unicorn for all I care.
I don't care.
No.
But like, it was just like he was there for quite a long time before she even came in, and I don't know if it was like if he came in a dude and turned into a woman or I have no clue. But then another lifer from the lifers group came and talked to me saying, "Hey, this is how it is," and it's like, whoa, like I didn't know. So then like, everything was cool afterwards, but like it was an interesting experience.
Would they still be in prison? Like, from what you know that they were in there for, would they have gotten out
definitely.
by now?
They'll still be inside.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Are there people that when you were there, that you would say you would probably know like a handful that would still be there and probably wouldn't be out until you're probably like 70?
Probably.
Really?
I'll be dead before I turn that.
Because you were saying like a lot of people don't. They know that they won't get the death penalty because we don't have it in Canada.
Yeah.
So if you're already doing 50 years, and it in your mind it's worth that extra 20 years. What's another 20 years?
Yeah.
You're already doing 50.
Yeah. What do you have to lose?
Wow, man.
It's kind of gross because like I feel sorry for them because it's like the government's sitting there getting them to work to make them money. So like if they're making, like we were talking earlier about like license plates.
License plates, yeah.
So you have this guy in there for 25 years. You're making them make license plates. You're telling society that you're paying this much to keep this guy housed, but yet you're in control of all the food. You're in control of all the water. You're in control of like all the everything. And all it is a write off for you, right? Like if you look at like a couple years ago where the lady bought like all the Rolexes for her whole group and then took a private plane all around the world to like that's our tax dollars. Whatever happened to that, did we get back? No. Like there's like more incidences than that. There's like thousands. Like I like if I sit there I could probably bring up stuff from the past like 10 years. And like then they're sitting there making money off the people inside.
Yeah.
You're making money off the people outside, and then you're just living high on the hog.
Yeah.
Could you say though that they're not really seeing it as that they're trying to use it to keep that person that's like I was talking about that's got 50 years in there instead of him just sitting in his cell thinking about, man, woe is me, rather than, you know, put him into making jewelry, making whatever, making like license plates, and keep him kind of busy hands make, you know what I mean? Like he won't have to think about that. That's their mentality. I understand where you're coming from, saying like they're getting free labor off a guy that's in there.
But isn't it like, is there something to be said about if you're in jail you want to keep busy? Like, do you not just want to sit there?
There's other stuff like they could like properly.
I see what you're saying.
Properly educates people. Like, you know,
not just working. I see what you're saying. Okay.
Like if you think that they're like, if they are like norm enough, to be put back out, maybe like reintegrate them in society,
rehabilitate.
But you said that they can't though.
Like that's the thing though. Like if you're in there, like you've been there 14 years, like you're institutionalized.
Yeah.
Like there's no help for somebody just because they like accidentally kill someone while they're like driving.
Or like, drops massive and kill their parents, like you were saying before.
Yeah,
one guy.
Like the guy was like insane at the moment. So why is he still there? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Wow.
Like there's so many perspectives to look at, it and like it's so broad. It's like it's kind of gross.
Have you seen both sides where like you hear about people they plead insanity, where like that one there with the acid, but like. It really wasn't them. Could be used as a defense.
Obviously, he didn't have a good lawyer.
No,
right?
No, but like have you seen that in the system though? Like where they use that as a defense, but it's not, or like it's used as a defense and it really is, but it's like, oh man, that's got to be a tough decision.
Like I know that's what like I'm kind of lost in that, right? So like I just look at like. It's just like people that say, "Oh, I don't want to go work today, so I'm gonna call in sick," but there's nothing wrong with you. You know what I mean? It's the same with people that are like students that call in saying, "I need a mental health day. I can't do my exam."
Yeah.
You know, like you like they could be just like I partied that night and I want to catch up. Like it could be like so many like perspectives. It all depends of what's in the person, right? And we're all so colorful and different that like there's no way of knowing anything really.
Yeah, you can't really group people because if you look at you as an anomaly, right? Like super nice guy. You couldn't ask for a nicer person. I know that if I was stuck at the side of the road and if I shot you a text message, you say, "Where are you? I'll bring you a coffee." Yeah. And we'll figure out how to get your car off the road. But if you just looked at your resume, you would never think that would be you. Like even for work wise, like I would take you over half of the dingleberries that we got working for us. But you'd never know that if you didn't get to know the person.
Like, this is the first time I've met you. First time I saw you instantly, I was like, this guy you wouldn't want to mess with. That's the first thing I thought of you. But then you started talking, I'm like, this guy's a nice guy. Instantly, as soon as you start, you're articulating, you have insight, you have your words, and like you've been through a lot of things, which gives you perspective, which is really interesting to me. Like we're so sheltered and so bubbled. We live all these people. We live in bubbles, and like to have something like what you're saying, and like I mean like what Ernie's saying, like from the first time you see someone like you see someone, you're like, wow, this person's like intimidating. But you know, you get to know someone, and like they're like an amazing person. Like you got like a cool perspective.
That's what I mean by like some of the guys I met. Like inside, like you lost your mind. Like one individual, I'm not gonna say names. He lost his mind completely. He found his wife cheating on him.
Shit.
Lost his mind, killed both of them.
Oh God.
Then you have the question going: was he in his right mind, or?
I think all of us would break.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I was gonna use that. I was gonna say to you that, like, if I caught somebody in bed with Danielle, like, I don't know, man. Like, I think I would.
When you have a level, they say if you really want to hurt someone, love them and then break the trust. That's how you say you really kill someone. That's what they say.
Because you could see the other side of this perspective too, like people that are using being in prison as like a badge of honor. Like I know I used to work with somebody.
Yeah.
I was like.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We were talking about him earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was in jail. And like when they call the cops, I let them know who I am because they bring the extras. They're like, this is gonna be bad. Like.
Yeah.
Like come on. Like, you know that guy was in jail. Like, okay, you knowing what you know, if someone's talking like that outside of jail, what was he like in jail?
He probably got his face punched in so many times.
Yeah.
Like,
but the way he's talking though, you'd swear that he was
tough, bro.
Not running the yard, but he was working for the guy running the yard kind of thing. Like it was.
I doubt it. Like, because the guys that chirp off like that, it's like, look at me, look at me, look at me.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, you're like, you know what? Some people are like they can handle themselves, and that's who they are.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's like when you actually meet the person, you see how they are, and then you talk to them, and you see how they try to put like this whole like persona around them, like to like try to put fear into somebody. It's like you know,
because I was doing I was bartending for a wedding, and because I had my smart serve, and the guy came up and he's just like, hey, I'd like to get a drink for myself and for my wife. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I said, I kind of need to see some ID for her because she looks a little young. I said, you're probably gonna take this as a compliment, ma'am. I just need to see some ID. I said, just because if I serve you and you're not under it, somebody were to come in, I'm gonna get in a lot of trouble. The bride's gonna get in a lot of trouble. Let's just make things easy and just show me some ID. Yeah. I can't show you any ID. I said, I can't really serve you. I'm really sorry. She goes, I was just at the LCBO today. I said,
then you have ID.
I said, then you must have had ID.
Yeah.
And this is where I'm getting at. So the guy comes up and he goes, well, I didn't have ID. I said, sir, you look a lot older than she does. No offense. And he goes, well, what if I showed you this piece of paper? And it was something to do with prison.
Yeah.
And he's just like, what about this? Could you use this for ID? I said, well, what is this? He goes, it was something to do with that prison paperwork to know who he was, and it had all this information on it. I said, do I get to keep this copy, or does your PO need this?
Yeah.
And he's just like, I was like, man, I'm like, did you really come up here to peacock? I'm like, now I'm definitely not giving your girlfriend a drink. I said, so which means to tell me that you're definitely not getting laid. Yeah. Have a beautiful evening.
Yeah.
Like, and like you were just saying, I could just imagine if that's what he was doing out.
Yeah.
He was probably giving somebody his cupcake in.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, but also, I know guys are like, you know, they peacock and they peacock hard, and they can
back it up.
But they have you can get a persona from somebody though, and you
can read it.
You, of anybody, would be able to say, you'd be able to go, yeah, I don't know, that's one guy, yeah.
You could tell if somebody's saying something, and then you're like, that happened. You can feel the story. You can feel the legitimacy in a story. Like you can be like, this is what he's telling the truth. That he's obviously telling the truth. Like he's not bullshitting. He's not like, that, like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah, and you can always judge a book by the cover, because like, see how I'm a big dude and I like, you first get that instinct. I have a buddy I used to do home invasions with, and if you saw
what's a home invasion?
It's when you force yourself into someone's home when they're there.
Wow, you did that?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I want their stuff.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, like it's like I was like money driven, drugs, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
But so if I showed you one of my buddies, you'd be like, no, he could like him force himself in.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to stick him at the door because you'd look through the peephole and be like, oh, this must be Jehovah's Witness.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man.
It's all how you play your cards, right?
Yeah. Because I know when I was telling him that about you, and he's just like, so you worked with this guy? I'm like, yeah, man. I said, it's Fabian. I said, I've known Fabian a long time. I said, don't worry. I said, I would trust Fabian come over to my house to meet my kids, to meet my wife. I said, you have nothing to worry about. Because when I told him about we'll call it your resume, about everything that I was interested to hear about your story, because it's, man, you're
I
such
was
an
interested too, like legit.
And he was. But when
I still am. I want you to come back and tell more stories.
when I said, prison, and he was a bouncer and that, he's like, yeah, sure, he's a good guy. I'm like, man, he's the best guy.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
Nah, man.
Yeah, man.
You're solid. We just, it's just, I knew you had some interesting stories, man. Like, you got so, oh, man.
I got so much. Like, I never shared that much. It's because, like, when you're working with someone and, like, you don't know what, like, it goes again. Like, you don't know how they're going to take you. You don't know.
Especially with the work environment.
Yeah, because, like, you know, this guy's ex-con. You know? And then stuff like, Fabian's ex-con. And, like, all that stuff went missing. This went missing. That went missing. Remember this? Maybe, right? And all that shit, right? So, like, people need to point blame most of the time, right? So it's like, what's easier than seeing a black duck than saying, hey, that's the black duck,
right?
You know,
right.
So here's something funny for you. So I was when I do training for the rock trucks, when I'm sitting in the driver's seat, you're in the back seat. I can't see you, but I can hear you, right? So as soon as I see you come in the truck, I'm like, who the hell is Tri-City Iron now? But you get in the back seat, and I'm no longer looking at you. I'm listening to you. So I'm asking you questions about, like, what did you used to do? What's your experience? How do you feel about heights? Things like that. And you were very, very relaxed. And then I'm just like, so what did you do before this? What did you do before that? You're like, well, I didn't really work before that. And I'm like, oh, I know why I didn't work before that, because that's usually what we hire. And it's just like, oh, okay. And I'm texting Danielle and in a safe location, parked in a parked position. And Danielle's like, so what are you doing today? I'm training somebody. Oh, what are they like? He's a convict. and by the end of the day, Danielle's just like, did he steal your lunch money? I'm like, you gotta meet this guy.
Let's premise though, like 90% of the workforce for that company is like
sketch,
like alcoholics, and like they called me the pastor because I was like, hey, if you want to, like, it was like a hot day and I had the only truck with like air conditioning, and I'm like, hey, if anyone wants to jump in my truck and have the air conditioning, I'm totally cool. I'm like nice to people.
Do you remember Bob Butt?
Yes.
Yeah. That was his favorite. He loved him.
Yeah, so, like, you know, I just get along with people, and they're just like, you're a really nice guy. I'm like, well, yeah, this is my background. And they're like, oh, most people that work here are, like, deadbeats. And, like, they're just like, we're just happy you're showing up. You show up to work every day. That's not common in our place. Yeah. But it was like, you know what, there's those kinds of people, like, not to say, like, your kind of people, but, like, you're, like, some person who's lived a life, like, a full life. Those people are interesting. Those are the people I want to talk to. And, like, I don't want to hear some guy, I went to a private school, my parents paid for everything, and now I have a 4-year degree in nothing, and I work at Williams. You know, like, you
and
hear
I still live in my parents' basement.
Like, my mom and dad bought me a nice car, and, like, you hear those stories all the time. It's like, you want to hear a live story. Like, I don't have a live story. I can't say too much. The coolest thing that happened to me once, I decided to be homeless for a year and a half, live in a car. That's my coolest story I had, you know. Nothing too extreme. That's my wife coming home probably. Just don't worry, everything's fine.
I heard it before you even opened the door.
Oh jeez. Yeah. But, like, that's what I'm saying is, like, working with those people and working in a place like that, like Ernie's saying, like, you hired them on and you're training them and stuff, like, you hear some good stories. You're gonna hear some life. You're gonna hear about some interesting things. You know, like.
Where would I grab your leg?
Why were you grabbing his leg?
Just to freak him out.
Yeah. Oh jeez. You're like, hey,
that was nothing. So we're telling Fabian stories. So here's my favorite. Then I want to talk about a snake. So I'm training. I have a new trainee in the back seat, and the beautiful Fabian comes up to the truck. We're on break, and he comes up and he's talking to this gentleman, and he's sitting in the back seat, and he goes, you're a pretty buff dude. And the guy's like, yeah, you know, I try to take care of myself, and I work out a lot. And he's like, you have a lot of tattoos. And Fabian said that to him, and this guy's like, yeah, you know, I got a couple tattoos. I'm pretty fond of them. And he goes, you're pretty hairy, aren't you? And he's like,
wait a minute.
Yeah.
Who's he talking to?
He's talking to my trainee. In the back seat.
Sorry, yeah.
And he's like, I'll talk to you on break. The guy, Fabian shuts the door. Now again, when I'm driving, I'm facing the road. I'm facing the steering wheel, and this guy is facing back. So I'm not looking at him, and I can't, because I'm just laughing because I know Fabian's trying to freak this guy out, because this guy's about 5'4", and Fabian, when he gets up to the truck, is almost a little over 6 feet, and you would think you were.
Yeah, let's premise that people are listening.
200.
Fabian's like.
No, you were more than 200.
What
yeah,
are you, 6'3"? What are you?
6'1".
Yeah, so he's a
You're
huge,
not. I
he's
know
a
you're
big
not
guy.
200 because I'm 200 now.
I'm 310 now.
You were probably about 260. That was when you were bouncing quite a bit. I don't think
Maybe.
you were as heavy.
I was working a lot.
Not that I'm not calling you fat, but I'm just saying.
I'm just a husky dude. I don't care.
We've been called husky at Tip Top Tail.
Yeah,
We're
one
used
time.
to it.
Let's not get into that
But
story. Anyway.
So anyway, he gets in the back. He's like, "Who is that?" I'm like, "I don't know. I've never met him. I don't think he works for us." Oh man, the guy was shitting his pants. It was so funny. And then I could see Fabian walking away, and he's laughing in front of the truck. But it was his.
What you didn't see was when I was asking about his tattoos, I asked him if he had any on his chest, and I got him to lift up his shirt.
That's what you said. You're pretty hairy.
Yeah, what I was like, you're a pretty hairy dude. I like.
And I could hear it in his voice.
I like
that.
And I walked away, and then it was like he was like.
I can hear his answer. He's
deer
like,
in the headlights.
"Thank you."
Like deer in the headlights. He was like, "Oh God."
He's like, "Who's that?" Like, I don't have a clue.
You're just
I
roasting the guy.
just roasting,
Fucking
right?
with them. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
No.
Hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, good times, man. Good times.
Oh, it was.
Do you did you when you were bouncing?
Yeah.
When you were doing that, I hate to jump, but when you were bouncing, did you have like when the police were dealing with a situation? Would you be asked to come in to do it? Now I know, or would could a licensed bouncer come in even?
What do you mean?
Like could a police officer ask a bouncer to help with a situation, or is that strictly a police thing?
Well, the police are like when they're dealing with a situation is usually by themselves and they just deal with it.
Yeah.
Like if like all respect, a lot of us guys who would just jump in and help.
Yeah.
And then some people are assholes and they won't. They was like, good. Like I got a speeding ticket last week. I hope you get your ass kicked.
Mm. Like you were saying, the one time you walked up and there was this cop, and all his stuff was falling out of his
falling out of his pockets, like wrestling with that guy. And then,
yeah. Then you just walked over there, picked up the guy, slammed him
on the ground, and just roped him up, and then let the cop cuff him up, and then
that was it.
Yeah.
Didn't say, "Hey man, thanks a lot." Like
no,
just,
he wanted to know my name, right? Just in case he needed to do a statement and everything, but I just walked away from him because like he has to deal with him, not me.
But he couldn't handle the guy, and you're just like, boom.
Yeah, just picked him up, tossed him.
So most of the places that you work, how many guys are working in that room? And will they all be in like a uniform type thing, or will there be guys that won't be, that are just kind of roaming around?
I always plain dress. That way like when I do a bathroom run, you'll catch people doing coke, people pull flasks out in front of you, or just pull whatever, smoke a joint in the bathroom. Like I'll just walk in there, I'll be wearing a hoodie, like whatever, and then
you just confiscate. You're like, I gotta take this.
Well, depending what it is, like if it's like something hard, like I just save it to the end of the night, throw it out, hand it over to the cops if I'm freaked out by it.
Yeah.
Shit like that. Like sometimes I catch young guys with a knife, on them when they're coming in the door, and I'll just take their knife away. I'll be like, this will get you a lot of time.
Yeah.
You don't need this.
And you're saying that to him. Yeah.
And then I'm like, you know what? But if you I'll let you in. But if you cause problems, you're not gonna like the situation you're in next.
Oh yeah.
That
said shivers down my spine. You saying that to me, and I haven't even done anything wrong.
Well,
yeah. You shoot them straight. Like, listen, this is not the path you want to go down, man.
Like I've already been down that path. Like I have concealed weapons charges and all that stuff from my past, and it's like I know like my first drug charge was for having possession of a dime of oil, which is like a thin little line in the bottom of a vial, and I got 30 days closed custody in a juvenile facility for it.
30 days?
30 days, which
oh man, they couldn't have just taken it and thrown it out.
No, they don't do that. Not back in the day. Like today, they probably just it's legal now, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They just probably laugh at you, be like, "Have fun with that, kid."
So I was listening to this on the radio today about people getting arrested and for years and years and years and years and just possession of weed. I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast, and Tyson, he had marijuana in his system, and the commission, they did a test before one of his fights. Mm-hmm. He had to pay $300,000 to the commission because he was smoking weed. And now, fast forward.
Yeah.
Everything's legal. Is it for someone like you who probably heard stories and stories and stories, people went to jail for possession of marijuana? Does that just blow your mind?
Yeah.
Like now it's completely legal.
I knew a gentleman that got busted for possession of 10 marijuana plants that he was growing for his personal use.
Yep.
And they're like the most, like, I saw the pictures of them. They're like scraggly little things, nothing like how stuff is today.
Yeah.
Like, you look at it and be like, what is that? Right? And he literally got busted. And now he has a criminal record and he can't go over the border. He has, you know, and now he's like 60 some odd years old. And when he gets pulled over, like it got brought up. He's like, oh, I see you had a possession charge back in like, it was like the like 70 something, like 75 or like.
Oh my gosh.
And like he laughed. He's like, that's how pathetic it's gotten.
And now it's legal.
Yeah,
now it's a legal substance.
Are they going to let people out that have
I don't know. I was going to ask that.
Have been charged, do you think?
I don't know.
Like possession charges and that?
I have no clue. Like
how long would you do for a possession of, say you had not a pound, but let's go less than that to say like so it would be less of intent to distribute. Like possession, how long would you do for that? Like
well, I did 30 days for a dime of oil.
So if you had let's say 4 or 5 ounces on you.
Oh, back then when I was a kid, fuck, I don't even know what would happen. I'd probably be like in there for a while, like a couple months.
Really?
Oh,
like back in the day, like I remember like you'd get in a fight if you got charged with, like let's say me and you got in a fight, like you get like 8 months for like a assault charge.
What is that called? Aggravated assault.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, 8 months for fighting
as a juvenile.
What?
Yeah. Like I also got charged with that too. That's why I know.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, like if you get so many charges too, they'll run them concurrent. So like then, let's say like for my robbery, I was like looking at 15 years. So they drop some off. They say, how about this? I'm like, no. Then we sit there and flea bargain back and forth, and then they say, well, how about 5 years? And like you get like, you know, it was discharge of a firearm in a public place, uttering death threats, and possession of a firearm.
That's when you did the break and enter thing?
No, my armed robbery.
Oh, yeah, armed robbery.
Yeah.
So you were charged, and they sentenced you 15. And how long did you?
No, I didn't get sentenced for 15. They wanted to give me 15.
Oh.
And then I had so many charges with it, so they sat there and dropped a bunch, and because like if you have a couple, like I think I had like I think it was like maybe like almost a year since I had been in trouble before that. So like they're like, oh well, you have been in trouble, and then like, you know, of course I had issues back then, and I'm not gonna go into detail about like, you know, where my head was at.
So you got sentenced for 5 years for that one?
Yeah.
And how many? And you did 3.
And that was a long stretch. You were saying the longest you did.
And that was everything. All the balls were in the right place.
Yeah.
You had to. Is that when you got the charge for the for dismembering yourself or whatever you call it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you would, is that usual though? Like you would get charged for. We were discussing this before. So you'd get like a 15 years. And if you played by the rules, you did everything they wanted you to do, without snitching, obviously that would probably get you a little bit less. But minus snitching, you'd like sentence for 15, you do 10, or
I don't like I didn't snitch or anything. I just had a really good lawyer that brought it down.
But I mean like that you heard when you were in prison, like people that they would be sentenced for this amount, but you were only serving.
And they're telling people they're snitching. That's not something they would want to say.
No, but that's what I'm saying. They're not snitching. Like that's usual
they
though.
Snitch, like I had one person, like I did B&E, there's 3 of us, and one guy that was like the ringleader, because I didn't know the house or anything. They just wanted an extra hand to like, you know, empty this guy's place. And I was like, I'm down. And they slapped it on me and said I was a ringleader, and I was like screwed.
So they take less time.
Yeah, and I got a couple months, and all they got was probation.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what did you have to do to only serve 3?
Just after flea bargains with my court.
So like every year, like is that something you do every year?
That was my 2/3. Like it was like my, guaranteed parole.
So you were on parole for 2 years?
Yeah.
So that's how that works. You're still basically serving 2 years. It's just not in prison.
Can I ask a question? Is there any deterrent if it's like, let's say you're gonna go break into somebody's house? What would stop you from breaking into the house? Like, what's the deterrent? Like, oh, this is there. I'm not doing this. Like, if there's like a bunch of dogs or something.
Well, like if you want to get into anything, you're gonna get into it.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, like, if you were gonna go to a house and I was like, oh, I didn't realize that they had security cameras, or I didn't realize that they had like 6 dogs or something. But then you would like bail out.
Oh, like I don't know. Back when I was younger, I didn't care. Like,
yeah.
If you're on enough drugs or you're not enough alcohol, you're not in the right mind anyway.
Like
right?
for me,
you're not really thinking straight.
I was pretty messed up when I was like on everything. I was like.
So you just weren't in the mental place. Like for me, like so we have security camera in the front, and we got set up in the back, and then we have the dog and stuff, and we have locks and stuff. This neighborhood isn't a bad neighborhood, but just as precaution and stuff. Like if someone were like, oh, I see this stuff, like I'm not gonna break into this house. But you're saying if you're on drugs and you're all high and you're getting.
It's not even that though. Like if you want something hard enough, you're gonna do it.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. It doesn't matter what's there.
Yeah.
So did you have anything go bad when you were like ever breaking into someone's house and like realize, oh, this is.
Like I broke into a person's house in their home, and then I like ran out of the house.
Oh, okay.
Like,
you're like shit.
Like I'm like fuck.
Yeah. Oh wow,
like,
man.
Even on the drugs and alcohol, you had the tuition to say, Jesus.
I was like, I'm not dealing with this, and I just like I went through into their backyard to get like back into their backyard and just kept on hopping fences, because like if you're gonna run down a street or a sidewalk, you're not making any progress.
Yeah.
So I just kept on hopping fences, and I like, you know, when you're a couple blocks away.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Wow, man.
Yeah, it's like, you know, I look back and it's like there's like so many things I've never been caught for, but yet, you know.
Yeah. So now looking back on that kind of like life, now that you have like, you know, you're setting yourself up for success and you're doing more positive things in your life. Looking back on it, what advice can you give like someone like a young guy who's just like dealing with so much stuff? Like how to get out of it? What advice would you give somebody?
Well,
they have drugs.
Well, no, it's not even that. It's like, you know, drugs will pay issue lots of things, right?
Yeah.
But like, not all drugs like will lead to that.
Yeah.
It's like stuff like, you know, it could be just depression. It could be just not happy with your life. There's like a million different like things that can go around like an object. Like, you know, kids are gonna do what they're gonna do. Like I've talked to people. I've talked to like people's children for them.
Yeah.
And like,
oh my gosh, you should get hired on for that.
I was just about to say, I think your story, man. Yeah. Not only this podcast, like a podcast like this, but like I think you need to be.
Wait, don't interrupt him. He's finishing a thought.
I did lost my thought.
You're talking about how you talk to somebody's kids for them.
Yeah, I talk to their kids, but like, you know what, they're gonna do what they're gonna do, whether or not you tell them or not. Like, you can warn someone. Yeah. Like, it's like, see that fence? Don't touch it. It's electrified. Yeah. And like, they have to learn on their own.
It's like that Scared Straight TV show.
Yeah.
You ever see that?
But yeah, like even then, right? Some like you might have a 1%. If you can get through to one person's, like when you talk to them, if you can get one, like just one.
Yeah.
That's you did the best you could.
Yeah.
Can I suggest something? Because I really like to see this for you. I think you should set up an Instagram account.
Yeah.
And I think it should be like little things about what you've dealt with, how you got through it, and I think people could take that and turn it into like a huge positive and use that.
You could do public speaking, or you could do like you go to high schools and be like, listen guys, like stay off this path. Like this is not where you want to go. This is not where you want to end up. You could totally do this.
But then again, you have to look at like.
Okay, I hear you saying.
They're like, oh, you're an ex-con. We don't want you near kids. We don't want you to. Like, well, because like some things, like even though I talk about stuff, some people will say that I'm glorifying my life.
I wouldn't. You're not. That's not. the way that you're.
But like that's how some people read it, and then some people read going, no, this guy's like humble, and he's actually come like is moving forward.
Yeah.
Like it all depends on what people's perspective are. So like if you go into like one, I'm uneducated. So like even though I did do like some jail time and I got what credits I need and stuff.
Yep.
Like Ernie can tell you, my texts are horrible to read.
yeah. You need a translator sometimes.
Yes. It's like but so like if you go into something like that, like they'll be like, oh, I want background check. Did you go to school to be a counselor? Did you? I could already see how it is. Like
I see what you're saying.
But like that's how the government wants you to be again, or how society's norms, we'll call them, will want you to be. Like, did he go to school to educate, learn about feelings or proper ways to talk to somebody?
Yeah, you did. You went to school, Hard Knocks. That's what you did. Yeah.
But like, it's just like when you're becoming somebody like higher up in a work atmosphere, so you have to go in for like was it like altitude tests and what's that other thing called? So you.
What's that? Your GED?
No, it's
the aptitude test and your.
IQ
what are you
test?
talking about? The one for high school?
No, it like I'm talking about the like when you're
swing that over just a little bit for me.
Like when you're like a boss, so you have to learn how to properly talk to people, know how to whoops.
It's okay, man.
I can't remember.
I think
it slipped my mind.
You're trying to say like so like they go through like management training like
they want to know what training you have, what stuff you have,
public speaking,
all that all that jazz. They're gonna be like, oh, what do you do to better yourself to make you able to do this?
Just so you know, like I know people that like do stuff like that. They talk and like they're just their life gave them enough background to have that. Just so you know, like you wouldn't have to go to school, and like
if you're an interesting person, people will listen.
Like this right here, you could have your own podcast. People would listen to it. Like your stories upon stories and life, like
I don't know how to use one of those.
Well, trust me, this isn't. You're gonna be your last time visiting us. That's 100%, man.
Yeah. So like like I'm just saying like this is useful for people to hear. Like people have such a solid sedentary life. They're so sheltered, like I was just saying before, like they live in a bubble, and then if you have these kids growing up and like I can do whatever I want, and if they were to hear what it's actually like, the real life, they don't know what real life is. They don't know what like hard times are. They don't know what depression is. They don't know what it's like to go and like I don't have any money, I don't have anything. I want to get some drugs. I'm gonna go break into somebody's house. And you're like, oh shit, you're home, and then like have to like run down the street. Like people don't know those kinds of things. Like
I grew up in a poor atmosphere. Like my dad would disappear for a couple months. My mom would have no money, so like we'd have no gas. They cut off our gas, and then next thing you know, my mom's trying to heat up the house with the oven and a fan because we had to have electricity.
Whoa.
Like,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. But from where you were then to where you are now, like you've done so much. You've got a good job. You got a house.
You got a house, nice.
An okay truck.
My truck's beautiful.
I saw that truck pull up. Sweet, man.
It'll tow your little soccer mom car.
My Nissan Rogue. My Nissan Rogue.
No, that's not even a Nissan Rogue.
No,
it's a rental.
It's not even mine. Mine's still getting deer guts pulled out of it.
The deer guts.
Bambi's mom.
Man. Whoa.
I call them new fan belts.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just looking at the time. We were like we so people who are listening, we did an hour talk and then our computer crashed, and so we're like, oh man, we gotta do this again. It's almost been 2 hours since we've restarted the thing.
That's funny.
Are you I wanna get you out of here because I know you had some stuff you want to do tonight.
I don't even care.
You don't even care?
I don't.
I gotta get to bed soon. I gotta get up in the morning.
Yeah, I should leave like soon.
Yeah, I do have to get up. I gotta be out of the house by like really early. I'm gonna be in Simcoe all day. I'm doing a show tomorrow night for.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You can smell the atmosphere of like this cattle feed. Does it still smell like cattle feed downtown?
Like where?
Simcoe.
I don't know. Never been there.
Oh, really?
Never been.
Oh, God. I remember going there.
Yeah.
I got in a fist fight and left town, never came back.
No, the pipe.
Well, don't mention his name when you go down there.
It was at Tim Hortons, and there's all these douchebags and their fancy little, like, racing cars, because they all thought they were off the Fast and the Furious back then.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it was on.
You're just like, you're a bunch of douchers.
Yeah. It's terrible.
Well, thank you again.
Yeah, man.
This was
Thanks
awesome.
for coming on.
I want to have you back on.
Thanks for joining another 2 hours after that hour, so we've been actually hanging out for 3 hours.
I said I stayed over half, and next thing I know, boom.
Right.
Yeah.
It's awesome. This is what happens. We just hang out and just like we have a good time.
I know you were a little worried. We had the one guy that we brought on too. He was.
You
so
should have heard the one guy we were bringing on. He was like, I'm worried. I'm having a panic. He was like anxiety about it. I'm like, dude, it's not live. We're just hanging out. And then like he was like drinking, like he was pounding back the wine. I'm like, buddy, it's fine. Relax.
Half
and then
in the bag trying to talk.
And then like an hour in, he's like, I'm fine now. We're good.
This is good. let's ride this train.
It was awesome. But yeah, thanks for coming on, man. We're gonna have you on again, talk more stories, and thanks for everybody who listened today. We're actually gonna post this on what day do we post? This is gonna come out anyway. Whatever. Who knows?
Post it when we post it.
I'm gonna post it when I post it. And thanks for listening. You're welcome. Come back anytime. Thanks for having me. Yeah, man. Ernie, thanks for bringing Fabian.
No problem, man. No problem. Thanks for coming, buddy.
Yep. Hope you have a good night. Whatever you're doing.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening.
See you later, Ernie.
Peace.